So use a paper towel to try to make it a little bit easier on yourself because it prevents the fish from sliding and slipping all over the place. Don't make your cut on the surface because you don't want to have blood all over it and stuff. Keep it very clean. And start with a small insert at the opening down at the bottom there. And try to keep your blade not so deep so that you puncture all of the insides. Just running it up through the skin. Insert through the bottom of the jaw and come out through that tab. And then there's meat here that you want to save, you don't want to lose, so you're going to make a small incision behind the fin on both sides to make sure that the meat comes away freely. Now insert your finger into that flap you cut, begin removing it, separating it from the jaw of the fish with the gills intact. Separate the jaw, make sure you don't lose that meat right there like I was saying. Keep everything all in one piece. And now we begin to go to the rinse pile so that we can take out the inside kidneys. Rinse the fish out. Try to make sure none of this touches any of the meat because you don't want any of that, the insides really tainting the meat flavor. And just your thumb from about up past the middle down comes out real easy, and the rest you gotta kind of get in there and work for. And make sure you don't push through and damage into the meat when you're doing this. Don't press too hard into the bones, and make sure you don't tear any of the skin open, separating the inside stomach from the meat. Try not to. Sometimes it happens. Try to get that nice and clean. Okay. Now we're going to let gravity do the work. And remember to keep your cut side down for this first part. So break the neck back and try to get behind that head onto the spinal cord with the tip of your blade so that you can save as much meat in there as possible. And start with just 2 or 3 bones back at first to get your cut going. And keep finding that spinal cord and work away from it, pulling towards yourself, but turning the blade up so that the blade is actually running along the bones. And you're just separating the meat away from the bone and letting the meat fall back and letting gravity do the work and drop the meat down. Turn your blade up. When you get to this part, to the fin, you're going to have to insert the blade down to about this far. And then we're going to rotate the blade up and let it do the work. Follow the bone structure. Push down with your thumb. Push the meat down to make sure that that bone is pushing onto the blade surface. And then run your blade up, just like that. And in return, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And separate the side of the spine from that again. Turn the head up so you can get as close as you can in there and save as much of that meat as possible. Again, you're going to insert that blade down the tail, following that spine with the tip of your blade until you get down there, until you can't really insert it no further, but you're going to let the blade come up around this fin and take this fin out. Now, you're going to look for the back of the spine in here. You're going to pull the meat away from the bone and start to just use the tip of your blade to find them bones down into there. And if you're not careful, like here, you lose a little bit of meat. So be careful. Make sure you're letting that, hear that pin bones? You're gonna push through those. Like that with an angle down towards the spinal cord to keep as much meat on that fillet as possible. All the way down to about that fin. Then you're gonna pull the meat away at the tail and fillet that tail out and try to keep as much meat as possible. When you got that open, you can insert your blade now to this back spine and bring your knife through, tilt it down so that you can actually take that spine, the rest of the meat out, and just run your blade along. And then pull that meat off of there. Let the meat fall back. Remove this little bone in here now. It's like a heavy encasing. You'll feel it. It's not good to eat. So just take that right out. Go all the way through and take the skin out. Now remove this. And then you're going to trim this fillet up after. Leave it right there for now. Turn this over. Oh yeah, when you're doing this cut, it's easier to do it from head to tail with your blade. So don't go this way, you're going to go this way. And again, let the meat fall away from the bone. And use gravity. Push through them pin bones. Get the tail off. Just keep using the tip of your blade gently and let it slide along them bones. I tend to leave this part intact. Don't cut through this because it'll hold it to the head. So come down about a ½ an inch and then begin your cuts through first. It kind of gives you a grip here. It's kind of hard to hang on to a fish without a grip. Remember, insert blade back here and hold it and let your blade work along that spine and then turn it up. And there's your fillet. Now you just have to finish your little end cut back here. And there's your fillet. But there's still more work to do if you really want to try to remove all of the bones for a more enjoyable eating experience. So start from the head to tail and clean your blade in between this. Okay, starting from the head to tail now. So you can run your fingers in there and you're going to feel these bones that are going to poke you. And they're up towards the spine. There's a row of pin bones in there. So what we're going to do is cut down to just the skin, not through the skin. And then you're going to remove a piece of meat that you're going to cut out with your fingernail, scrape it, and then all them bones are going to come out. And you don't want to make this cut too wide because you'll lose a lot of meat. And it's not something you're probably going to be able to do on your first try. So if you listen, you'll be able to hear these bones right there. There they are. So right here is your line of bones. And these bones go at an angle towards the spinal cord, like little cups. So you're going to come on the inside of the spine and cut down and let your blade drop into the shape of the bones so that you can follow the bone structure. So insert the tip of your blade, pointing down, and let it find them bones gently. Hear it? It's finding all them bones. There we go, down to the skin now, but not through the skin. So now I'm going to cut 1/8 of an inch on the other side of that cut I just made. Angle your knife, don't make it straight up and down, you want it angled toward that spinal cord. Another cut now. Begin your insert. Remember, not through the skin. Cut that. Now you're going to begin carefully going down to the bottom of those bones and find where they begin on the skin. And you're going to run your fingernail along that back side of that fish and pull that all out of there. No more bones. You can use this in your fish broth, whatever you want. So actually we'll pull that fin off as well right now, and we're gonna pretty this fillet up a little bit. That's a nice fillet. Yeah, just pretty it up a bit. Okay, now it's ready to be washed. Now for this one, again, pin bones. You'll feel them on the back. So then again, cut down at an angle towards the back, the spinal cord here. They're going to be cupped at that angle. Run your blade right alongside of them very closely and let them find the angle. Your first incision is only halfway through the meat. Your second one is going to go down towards the skin. And just let it ride on the skin, but not cutting all the way through. So that's your first, on this side towards the spine. Your second cut, it's going to be on the back underside of it, angled so that you can take underneath them. 1/8 of an inch away. Remember, make your guideline cut first. Don't cut all the way through first. Just let the blade do the work. Now that that's down to the skin, insert your finger towards the tail side, remember, and pull towards the head. The bones only come out of this one way. They don't come out in reverse. Here's your fillets. Oh, I gotta trim this one up a little bit more. And rinse these off, and then you can package them up however you want to. These are going to go into a brine to get ready to smoke.